Tesla is staying true to their word about what they were planning on doing with Bitcoin, so in case you forgot, early last month they purchased $1.5 billion worth of Bitcoin, which, just for the record, whether or not you think Bitcoin's the future or just a fad, it's not enough to bankrupt Tesla if the value of Bitcoin were to plummet. They would not be in financial trouble if it did, and they could likely write off a lot of it as a loss. So there's not too many disadvantages to this massive investment, and as Elon Musk has talked a lot about on Twitter, there's not really much sense in rejecting an offer for Bitcoin, which is why, as of today, they are now accepting Bitcoin as a payment method for Tesla's vehicles. And Elon Musk was fairly clear in his tweet that they were not converting these Bitcoin transactions back into traditional cash. No, if you are paying in Bitcoin, Tesla is keeping the Bitcoin. And it's very interesting to see such a major player now, a company that's in the S&P 500 now accepting this as a standard. But at the same time, I have to wonder how many people are actually going to take advantage of it. So I did see quite a few people concerned that maybe this isn't the best idea, because if they accumulate a lot of Bitcoin and then some law changes or something drastic happens and we see crypto's value drop really, really quickly, which has been known to happen in the past, will this affect the stock price? Will this make people think Tesla's going bankrupt simply because of all of their crypto is tanking in value really quick? And I somewhat understand that concern, but at the same time, I have to think that not that many people are likely going to order Teslas with Bitcoin. I mean, obviously now that it's been confirmed you can, there are plenty of people on Twitter flexing about it and just putting reservations down to showcase that it is possible, and they want to show how exactly the website reacts when you opt to pay with Bitcoin. But in my opinion, if you have a fairly significant amount of Bitcoin, enough to buy an entire Tesla vehicle with, then you probably think that Bitcoin is going to be growing in value a lot more over time. So if you believe that, why would you give up your appreciating currency for a vehicle that, sure, Teslas are known to hold their value a bit better than the average vehicle, but overall, I think it's safe to say your Tesla is not going to appreciate in value at the same rate as you may expect Bitcoin to grow over time. In a way, I know it's not exactly the same, but it's kind of like selling your Tesla shares in order to pay for a Tesla. Like, if you believe this company is the future, why would you sell your shares? Because how many times now have we heard of people buying a vehicle or buying something expensive and then finding out years later that, oh, if I would have invested that into either Tesla stock or into Bitcoin, I'd be a millionaire now and I could afford 10 Teslas. And it's that type of thinking that makes me believe not that many people will actually take advantage of this option. As cool as it looks, I still think the majority of people out there would rather pay in cash, because that's a type of currency that's obviously trickling down over time, especially as more stimulus checks get issued and the government prints more cash all the time. There's natural inflation going on, so why not take your depreciating cash, use it on a vehicle that'll probably be, of course, very fun to drive, very safe, and get you to work and back with zero emissions. And yeah, it might hold its value pretty well, especially if you lock in full self-driving. As the price of that increases, that kind of combats the depreciating value of a lot of used Tesla vehicles, but they do still depreciate, just at a slower rate. Although I should probably mention, as of this morning, it appears that Tesla rose the price of the Made in China Model Y by around $1,200, and they also increased the price on the US Model 3 by $500 last night, which is a bit of a bummer. I always hate seeing those prices go up, but they don't list their vehicle prices in the value of Bitcoin, just to be clear here, because obviously if they set their value of a vehicle at a certain amount of Bitcoin, like if they decided that the long-range Model Y cost 1 Bitcoin, then the value could change very, very quickly, and then the buying price of that Model Y would be changing a lot. So the amount you have to pay for these vehicles is just dependent on whatever the Bitcoin equivalent of the US dollar is. So however many Bitcoin you need for $50,000, that's ultimately how much Bitcoin they're going to ask you for. I think long-term, personally, that Bitcoin is going to fluctuate a lot, but eventually be a lot higher in value than it is today, which is ultimately why I think if Tesla has a lot of cash in the bank, instead of just having it sit there doing nothing, it makes a ton more sense to put a bunch of it into something like a cryptocurrency that they're more than likely going to make money on in the long run. Sounds like they already have, since they purchased $1.5 billion last month. They have possibly made over $1 billion on that cryptocurrency already. So it's a very unique approach. It's not something you see very often in the automotive space, but I've certainly seen a lot of people talk about how, well, cryptocurrency involves a lot of mining on GPUs, and that uses up a lot of energy, but it's important to remember that the factories that are producing our cash currency of today, and having dedicated banks and vaults and having to transport cash to different places, all of that takes a toll on our energy and creates emissions itself. So Bitcoin is not a complete completely environmentally free currency, but neither is traditional cash. If Tesla is able to help miners get cryptocurrency using renewable energy, then it ultimately helps Tesla achieve their goal of accelerating our transition to sustainable energy. And there's a lot of arguments to be made that crypto in the long term could be a lighter impact on our environment than traditional cash, which has to be printed and shipped, and banks have to be operated, and people have to drive to those banks. Crypto gets to bypass all that. So I don't plan on talking about crypto a lot on this channel, but given it's a big moment for Tesla, I figured I'd cover it. Let me know what you guys think. Do you believe a lot of people are going to end up buying Teslas with Bitcoin, or do you think more people would rather hold on to their Bitcoin and let it accumulate value over time? Thank you all for watching. Hope you have an excellent rest of your day. Take care.